Today's lesson is on the cosine ratio. The second trig ratio is cosine. Cosine in a right triangle is the ratio of the length of the adjacent side to the length of the hypotenuse side. So if I'm looking at the cos of A, I'm looking for the adjacent side. The adjacent side touches angle A, or it makes up angle A. The other side of angle A is the hypotenuse, which is the number that would go on the bottom. If I'm looking from angle B, though, the adjacent side is different. It is the side that touches B and the hypotenuse. So it would be side A that would be the adjacent side. Okay, so we're going to try and use the cos ratio. Again, double check that your calculator is on degrees. So the cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. If you write down the formula every time you do these questions, you'll remember what the combinations are, and it will make it a lot easier. Remember, the cos sign is always for the angle, so cos of 52 equals adjacent is going to be the side that's touching it. Make sure that you're looking for the right angle, and that other side, x, is the hypotenuse. So 10.3. Now once you set it up, the rest is just like the sine function. You take cos of 52, come up with the 4 decimal number, 10.3 over x. Put the decimal over 1 so we can cross multiply. You have 0.6157x equals 10.3. Divide by 0.6157. And x is 16.73 meters. Okay. The second question, I have the cos of the angle 73 degrees equals adjacent over the hypotenuse. So if you're not sure which is the adjacent, which is the hypotenuse, look for the hypotenuse across on the right angle. Hypotenuse always goes on the bottom, adjacent goes on the top. So the cos of 73 is 0.2924 equals x over 23. Cross multiply, and x is going to be 6.72 centimeters. Make sure you put the units of measure on your answer to make it correct. Now you'll notice that when you're finding the hypotenuse, there's an extra step, because when you cross multiply, x is on the bottom. When you're looking for a side, it's actually a little bit easier. You have one less step to do. Example 1. Now that you know how to use the cosine function, let's use it to determine the length of the conveyor belt that Richard needs to order. So the conveyor belt goes up on the hypotenuse side and back around. So we're going to find the length of the hypotenuse. The angle here is 38 degrees, and the adjacent side is 6.1 meters. So the cos of x equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So the cos of 38 degrees is, the adjacent is 6.1. The hypotenuse is what we're looking for. So into your calculator, cos of 38 is 0.7880 equals 6.1x. Cross multiply, we get 0.7880x equals 6.1. Divide by the decimal to get x by itself, and x equals 7.74. Now that's the length of the hypotenuse. The belt on a conveyor belt actually goes up and back, so the belt is 2 times the length, which equals 15.5 meters of belting. If you were going to replace this belting, you'd need 15.5 meters. Okay, given triangle PQR, where angle Q equals 90 degrees, Q equals 4.3, that's the hypotenuse. R equals 51 degrees, angle R, solve the triangle. What it means by solving the triangle is finding the other parts. So we need angle P, we need side R, and we need side P. So we need to find those 3 parts. Okay, so I have an angle 53 degrees. I want to find side R. Side R is the opposite, and I have the hypotenuse. So I know that I'm going to be using sine. sine of 51 because I am looking for the opposite and I have the hypotenuse. 0.7771 equals r, or 4.3. So r is approximately 3.34 centimeters. Okay, we also are going to use that same angle to find P. P is adjacent. So cos uses the adjacent side and the hypotenuse combination. So the cos of 51 will actually be a different decimal because you're using a different trig button. P over 4.3. You're going to cross multiply to find out P equals 2.7 centimeters, or approximately 2.7 centimeters. So we have those two dimensions. We need angle P. So we know a triangle is 180 degrees. We're going to minus the right angle and minus the 51 degree angle to find angle P. So angle P is going to be 39 degrees. In construction, Marie knows that a force acting at an angle can be broken down into a vertical force and a horizontal force. If a force of 365 newtons is exerted diagonally downward at an angle of 30 degrees, what force is applied horizontally? Okay. So I have the adjacent, I have the hypotenuse, so I'm going to be using the cos. Adjacent is the part we're looking for. The hypotenuse is 365. The cos of 30 is 8660. And you cross multiply, x is going to be 316 newtons. Okay, I want you to practice your cos with build your skills and practice your skills.